Heedfulness is the path to the deathless, heedlessness is the path to death. The heedful do not die, the heedless are already dead. The path to the deathless is the perpetual awareness of experience. The deathless does not imply a physical state where the body does not die. When an individual becomes totally aware of the processes of experiencing, he is freed from the continuity of existence. Those who do not have that awareness are like the dead, even if they are physically alive. Clearly understanding this excellence of heedfulness, the wise exult therein and enjoy the resort of the noble ones. Those who are truly wise are especially aware of the need for sanity. They take delight in sanity. They take pleasure in the pursuit of sanity because it is the region of the supernormal. The wise ones, ever meditative and steadfastly persevering, experience nibbana, the incomparable freedom from bondage. Those wise individuals who steadfastly practice meditation reach a level of understanding that enables them to experience nibbana. Those wise individuals who unceasingly continue in their meditation, firmly and steadfastly, experience nibbana, which is the supreme release from all bonds. While residing at the Ghazala monastery near Kosambi, the Buddha spoke these verses, with reference to Samavati, one of the chief queens of Udina, king of Kosambi. Once upon a time in the city of Bhadavati, there was a treasurer named Bhadavatiya. Strangely enough, he was friends with another treasurer named Gosaka, even though they had never met each other. Gosaka heard about Bhadavatiya's riches and age from traders who came from Bhadavati, and wanting to be friends, he sent Bhadavatiya a gift. So, even though they hadn't laid eyes on each other, they lived as if they were good friends. After a while, a sickness spread in the home of the treasurer Bhadavatiya. When this illness appears, it first affects flies. After that, it moves on to insects, mice, pet birds, pigs, cows, both male and female slaves, and finally, the family members. Only those who manage to break down the wall and escape survive. During this time, Bhadavatiya, along with his wife and daughter, escaped in this way. They decided to seek help from the treasurer Gosaka and began their journey to Kosambi. As they continued on their journey, they ran out of food, and their bodies felt tired from being out in the wind and sun, plus they were hungry and thirsty. Finally reaching Kosambi, they struggled to get there. They found a nice spot with a water pool, took a refreshing bath, and then entered a rest house near the city gate. The treasurer turned to his wife and said, "Dear, people on this journey aren't very polite, not even to a mother who has given birth. Now I've got a friend, and people say he gives 1,000 coins every day to help the blind, the poor, and those in need. Let's send our daughter to him, ask her to bring us some food. We can stay here for a day or two, rest up, and then go visit my friend." His wife agreed, saying, "Sure, husband," and they settled down in the rest house. The next day, when it was time for meals, and the blind, poor, and unfortunate people lined up for food, the mother and father told their daughter, "Sweetheart, go get us some food." The daughter, from a once wealthy family now facing tough times, set aside her pride, took a bowl, and went to the needy to get food. When asked how much she wanted, she said, 3 portions. They gave her 3 servings, and she brought the food back to her parents. The 3 of them sat down together to eat. The mother and daughter told the treasurer, "Sir, misfortune can happen to any family, even the well-known ones. Please eat without worrying about us." They insisted a lot, and finally, they convinced him to eat. However, after he finished eating, he couldn't digest the food, and as the sun rose the next day, he passed away. The mother and daughter cried and mourned. The following day, the young girl went again to get food. When asked, she said, 2 portions. She brought the food back to her mother and, after much persuasion, convinced her to eat. Sadly, the mother agreed but passed away on the same day. The young girl, now left alone, cried and grieved over the misfortune that had befallen her. The next day, feeling the pain of hunger deeply, the young girl went with beggars, crying, to get some food. When asked, "How many portions do you want, daughter?" she replied, "Just one." A householder named Mida, recalling that she had received food for 3 days, said to her, "Perish, wicked woman! Finally, today you realize the capacity of your stomach." This girl, from a respected family, felt as if someone had stabbed her heart or poured salt on a wound. Quickly she responded. "What do you mean, sir?" he said. "The day before yesterday, you took 3 portions, yesterday 2, and today only 1. So now you understand your stomach's capacity," she explained. "Sir, don't think I took those for myself. The day before yesterday we were 3, yesterday we were 2, and today I'm alone." "How did that happen?" he asked. Then she narrated the entire story to him, starting from the beginning. As he heard her tale, tears welled up in his eyes, and he couldn't contain the deep sorrow he felt. At last he spoke to her, saying, "My dear girl, if that's the situation, don't worry. Since then, you've been the daughter of Treasurer Bhagavatia, but from now on, you will be my very own daughter." He gently kissed her on the head, brought her to his home, and officially adopted her as his eldest daughter. One day, she overheard loud screams in the place where her foster father gave out food to the needy. She asked him, "Father, why don't you make these people quiet when you give them alms?" He replied, "Dear daughter, it's impossible to do that." She insisted. "Father, it can be done." He asked, "How would you do it, dear daughter?" She suggested, "Father, put a fence around the place and hang 2 gates for people to enter and exit. Allow only enough space for one person to pass through at a time. Then tell them to enter through one gate and leave through the other. If you do this, they will get their alms calmly and quietly." The householder liked her idea, saying, "A clever plan, dear daughter," and followed her suggestion. Until then, her name was Sama, but because of her idea with the fence, she was now called Samavati. After that, there was no more commotion in the place where food was distributed. The treasurer Gosaka had always enjoyed the noise in the place where alms were given out. It made him feel connected, thinking, "That's the sound in my alms-giving area." However, after not hearing any noise for a couple of days, he questioned Mida, a householder who came to serve him. "Are you still giving alms to the blind, poor, and others in need?" Mida confirmed, saying, "Yes, sir." Confused, Gosaka asked, "Then why haven't I heard any noise for the past few days?" Mida explained, "I've organized things so that people get alms without making any noise." Surprised, Gosaka questioned, "Why didn't you do that earlier?" Mida admitted, "I didn't know how, sir." Gosaka then asked, "How did you figure it out?" Mida revealed, "My daughter told me how to do it, sir." Astonished, Gosaka inquired, "You have a daughter I've never seen?" Mida then shared the entire story of Treasurer Bhagavatia, starting from the plague outbreak and ending with his adoption of the young girl as his own eldest daughter. Upon learning the whole story, the treasurer exclaimed, "If that's true, why didn't you tell me? My friend's daughter is like my own daughter." He immediately sent for her and inquired, "Dear girl, are you the treasurer's daughter?" She replied, "Yes, sir, I am." He assured her, "Well then, don't worry, you're my own daughter." He affectionately kissed her on the head, provided her with 500 companions, and officially adopted her as his eldest daughter. One day, there was a festival in the city, and during this celebration, daughters from respected families, who usually stay at home, walk with their own group and bathe in the river. On that particular day, Samavati, along with her 500 companions, walked through the palace courtyard to bathe in the river. King Udina, seeing them from his window, asked, "Whose wives are those playful girls?" The response was, "They're not anyone's wives, your majesty." Perplexed, the king questioned, "Then whose daughters are they?" The answer came, "Your majesty, that is the daughter of Treasurer Bhadavatiya, and her name is Samavati." Impressed, the king escorted Samavati and her group to the royal palace, bestowing upon her the honor of becoming the queen consort. Another young woman rose to the position of the king's chief consort. Her name was Magandiya, and she had previously been rejected by the Buddha when her father tried to arrange a marriage with him. After becoming the chief consort, Magandiya discovered that the other chief consort, Samavati, was a devoted follower of the Buddha. Fueled by resentment, Magandiya devised a plan to seek revenge on the Buddha and harm Samavati and her maids. She falsely informed the king that Samavati and her maids had created holes in their living quarters' walls and were being unfaithful to him. Although King Udina observed the holes, he remained calm when the situation was clarified to him. Magandiya persisted in convincing the king that Samavati wanted to harm him. Once, she placed the snake in a musical instrument, a lute, and covered the hole with flowers. When the snake hissed out, the furious king believed Samavati was behind it. He ordered Samavati to stand with her ladies lined up. The king armed his bow with a poison-tipped arrow and shot it. Miraculously, due to the goodwill of Samavati and her ladies, the arrow missed its target. Realizing Samavati's innocence, the king granted her permission to invite the Buddha and his disciples to the palace for almsgiving and religious discussions. Realizing that her previous schemes had failed, Magandiya hatched a final plan. She sent a message to her uncle, instructing him to go to Samavati's palace and set it on fire with all the women inside. Despite the danger, Samavati and her maids, who were spiritually advanced, continued meditating. Unfortunately, they all perished in the fire. Though the king suspected Magandiya's involvement, he didn't show his suspicion. Instead, he pretended to be pleased with her and promised a great favor, intending to honor all her relatives. Delighted, the relatives were summoned and arrived willingly. However, upon reaching the palace, everyone, including Magandiya, was seized and executed in the courtyard. Upon hearing about these incidents, the Buddha remarked that those who are mindful don't truly die, but those who are negligent are as good as dead even while living. Additionally, the Buddha mentioned that Samavati and her maids, despite the tragic events, were reborn in a celestial world.